Dropbox starts an AI fund, Senator Schumer announces AI plans, and Marvel has really stepped in it with an AI title sequence for their newest show. Welcome back to the AI Breakdown Brief, all the AI headline news you need in 5 minutes or less. We kick off today with what is gotta be just the beginning of controversies that relate to AI being used in popular media. Gizmodo writes, Secret Invasion uses AI for its opening credits, and the excuse is meaningless. The new Marvel Disney Plus show crosses a messy line for AI-generated works' presence in mainstream media. Gizmodo writes, if you hopped on Disney Plus this morning to see what Nick Fury and his frenemies were up to in Marvel's Secret Invasion, you may have noticed something a little off about the series' opening title sequence. It looks strange to your mind's eye, and for good reason. It's one of the first major shows to use AI-generated art in such a way. The story goes on to explain that the titles were developed by Method, who had also worked on previous Marvel shows including Moon Knight, Ms. Marvel, and Loki, and that with this particular task, they were in fact approached to use AI-generated imagery. This wasn't just something they turned in, it was a plan all along. Gizmodo writes, that hazy surreality was the intention behind using AI-generated imagery. Producer Ali Salim said, when we reached out to the AI vendors, that was part of it. It just came right out of the shape-shifting Skrull world identity, you know? Who did this? Who is this? Salim went on saying that he didn't really understand how AI worked, but as Polygon put it, was fascinated with the ways in which the AI could translate the sense of foreboding he wanted for the series. Salim said, quote, we would talk to them about ideas and themes and words, and then the computer would go off and do something, and then we could change it a little bit by using words and it would change. Gizmodo's complaint seems to be about AI's use in major media in general. They write, in a world where creatives have repeatedly pushed back against commercial usage of tools like DALL-E and Midjourney, citing concerns of displacing jobs for human artists, plagiarism from databases trained on uncredited stolen artwork, ethical crediting practices, both in the worlds of art and cinema in general as the ongoing writer's strike has made AI content protections a key part of union demands, Secret Invasion's title sequence is a scary line to cross. The Gizmodo piece ends, it felt explorative and inevitable, and exciting and different, Salim concludes while talking to Polygon, a comment that will no doubt ring hollow and chilling to creatives concerned by AI imagery's growing presence. On Twitter, people's reaction to this was absolutely a Rorschach test for how they feel about AI in general. Brian Long writes, so Marvel really used AI to make their intro for Secret Invasion. It's actually over. Stephen Ford writes, Marvel and Disney have infinite money yet used AI for the Secret Invasion opening credits. A slap in the face to literally every artist Disney has ever worked with, and something that overshadows the hard work everyone did on this show. Kelly McKernan writes, Marvel used AI for the Secret Invasion intro. That was a paying job for many artists. Add this to the heap of industry-wide lost work replaced by plagiarism software, aka generative AI. Absolutely disgusting. On the other hand, some digital artists were excited. Omli Art writes, whoa, so exciting to see AI art being utilized in all its imperfect beauty on Marvel's Secret Invasion. Kudos to Method Studios, it's gorgeous. Chris Castanova writes, wow, an official movie sequence made with AI. And MK Toon writes, everybody take a big breath. Marvel didn't feed the Secret Invasion opening into a computer and spit it out on Disney+. Method Studios, a VFX company that staffs human producers, human designers, and yes, human AI technicians worked on it. They used AI as a tool. So friends, this is absolutely the beginning of a type of controversy that we're going to see a lot of. And it'll be interesting to see in a couple weeks whether anyone cares anymore or whether we've just moved on to something else. Next up, a very different type of story. We're starting to get more information about how the Senate plans to regulate AI. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has outlined a new framework, if not actual new policies. Schumer has named the framework the Safe Innovation Framework for Artificial Intelligence. In a speech, Schumer said, after months of talk with over 100 AI developers, executives, scientists, researchers, workforce experts, and advocates, this morning I'd like to share my proposed framework for action. I call it the Safe Innovation Framework for AI Policy. The Safe Innovation Framework. I call it that because innovation must be our North Star. The US has always been a leader in innovating on the greatest technologies that shape the modern world. But if people think AI innovation is not done safely, if there are not adequate guardrails in place, it will stifle or even halt innovation altogether. So it is safe innovation that we must seek. So of course, this being Congress, that safe word has to stand for something. And in this case, it stands for security, accountability, protecting our foundations, and lastly, explainability. Now, while this is very light on actual policies, I tend to think that's a good thing. It suggests to me that they're taking this seriously and are trying to avoid any sort of knee-jerk reaction. There's clearly growing technical awareness. For example, here's how Schumer explains explainability. He says, explainability is perhaps the greatest challenge we face on AI. Even the experts don't always know why these algorithms produce the answers they do. It's a black box. No everyday user of AI will understand the complicated and ever-evolving algorithms that determine what AI systems produce in response to a question or task. And of course, those algorithms represent the highest level of intellectual property for AI developers. Forcing companies to reveal their IP would be harmful, it would stifle innovation, and it would empower our adversaries to use them for ill. Fortunately, the average person does not need to know the inner workings of these algorithms, but we do need to require companies to develop a system where, in simple and understandable terms, users understand why the system produced a particular answer and where that answer came from. This is very complicated work. Now, if you're asking what the next steps are, Schumer is convening a series of what he calls AI Insight Forums. Quote, "We need the best of the best sitting at the table. The top AI developers, executives, scientists, advocates, community leaders, workers, national security experts, all together in one room, doing years of work in a matter of months. The panels will include people of differing views, including some skeptics. Each Insight Forum will focus on the biggest issues in AI, including asking the right questions, AI innovation, copyright and IP, use cases in risk management, workforce, national security, guarding against doomsday scenarios, AI's role in our social world, transparency, explainability and alignment, and privacy and liability." Schumer says these Insight Forums are the first of their kind. They have to be the first of their kind because AI moves so quickly. If we take a typical path, holding congressional hearings with opening statements and each member asking questions 5 minutes at a time on different issues, we simply won't be able to come up with the right policies. By the time we act, AI will have evolved into something new. Now, this is very encouraging to hear as someone who has watched a lot of congressional hearings over the last few years. Congressional hearings, as they are currently constituted, tend to just be chances for legislators to get in sound bites that they can use in future campaigns. So even if this new type of forum doesn't exactly work as planned, at least it's not that. Schumer concludes, "No question about it, this is all exceedingly ambitious. We must exercise humility as we proceed. We are going to work very hard to come up with comprehensive legislation. Because this is so important, we are going to do everything we can to succeed. But success is not guaranteed. AI is unlike anything we've dealt with before, and it may be exceedingly difficult for legislation to tackle every issue. Humility is the key word. The AI revolution is going to happen with or without us. I do not know of any other instance in human history when we reached new heights, uncovered new truths, or mastered new innovations only for us to turn back. It's in our nature to press ahead. So friends, let us not turn back. Let us not look away. Instead, let us forge ahead determined and unafraid to lay a foundation for the next era of human advancement." Obviously, we will continue to follow up on the U.S. policy discussion around AI, but I will only say this. I don't know that I've ever seen another issue in my lifetime that has gone from not on the agenda to the very top of the agenda so quickly. And that, I think, is actually cause for celebration. It suggests to me that politicians actually understand the magnitude of what we're dealing with. Now, we're going a little long on the brief today, but there is so much happening, and these were both stories that could have been features. But let's still try to catch up on a few of the other stories as well. You might remember a month or two ago when Dropbox announced a set of layoffs. The layoffs weren't people being replaced by AI, but they were people whose skill set wasn't a good fit with Dropbox as it reoriented itself to compete in an AI-powered world. Well, now, just a little bit later, we've started to see how Dropbox is thinking about its approach to AI. Yesterday, they announced a number of new initiatives, including a $50 million AI venture fund, a universal search bar which can search across third-party tools, and something they're calling Dropbox AI, which summarizes and extracts info from files stored in Dropbox. Meanwhile, one company that did cut a big part of its workforce for AI is the Bild tabloid in Germany. Bild is the biggest newspaper in Germany and has announced that it will cut about 20% of its workforce for AI. In a memo obtained by CNN, the company said that traditional roles like editors and proofreaders will, quote, no longer exist as they do today. Next up, global cybersecurity company Group IB says that they've identified over 100,000 sets of ChatGPT credentials within the logs of info-stealing malware that trades on dark web marketplaces. The number of compromised accounts reached a peak in May of 26,802. So obviously, if you are using ChatGPT like any other service, please enable two-factor authentication and keep yourself safe. Moving on, Wimbledon has raised some ire, announcing that they will be introducing AI-powered commentary to coverage this year. AI-generated commentary and captions will be used for all of its online video highlights. Now, while the amount of AI content is limited, IBM said that the move is just one step along the way to generating AI commentary on full matches. Finally, another milestone in the ChatGPT plugin store. As of yesterday, there are now 500 available plugins. Now, of course, how many of them are useful is a subject for another video. That's going to do it for today's AI Breakdown Brief. If you're enjoying this, please like, subscribe, and share, and I'll be back soon with the main AI Breakdown.